I think there's a common misconception about writing stories, which I remember being told about by endless story writing experts in my early days, but I think which isn't borne out by the actual practice of writing stories for the last couple of decades, and that is that conflict is what drives stories. And I actually think that it's not so much conflict as it is tension. And I think sometimes we think it's conflict because conflict can be interesting, but it's really only interesting because of the tension beneath it. And what I mean by tension is basically, I think you can sum that up as an unanswered question. The reason conflict is interesting is because we want to know who's going to win. There's an unanswered question beneath the conflict, but it's not necessarily interesting if it's just conflict for its own sake. Like bickering is sometimes very uninteresting conflict unless you're interested in the art of bickering well, which is some people are. But to me, it's the fact that there's an unanswered question. That's what compels us through a story more than conflict. So here's tension without conflict. If character A says to character B, "What do you think of my new boyfriend?" Now, there's no conflict in play, but we're very keen to know the answer, generally speaking. But the objective is to basically create tension rather than conflict. That's in my opinion anyway. And the way to do that is to keep raising unanswered questions in the reader's mind. Now, they may be as simple as, what is the character going to choose for breakfast? Or which car is the character going to select? Or which weapon is the character going to choose? These are unanswered questions, and you get a little bit of time to answer the question, but there's a size to the questions as well, because some questions, if you don't answer them reasonably quickly, then the tension they've created will snap and it'll be gone. So some questions survive for the length of a beat or two in the storytelling. Some are good enough to hold your attention through a scene. That's very common. Some get you all the way through an act, really. And some, the biggest questions of all, take you through the whole of the story itself. If you want to see the great use of tension, Quentin Tarantino does a fantastic job of that in most of his movies and most of his scenes. He really, really makes the most of the tension in his scene. There's an unbelievable scene at the start of Inglourious Bastards. He really keeps the tension unbelievably. And once you've got that tension, once you've raised that really important unanswered question where maybe a life is at stake, you want to hold on to that tension for quite a while. If you're diagnosing a story, a really good question to ask is, what is my reader asking themselves about this scene? What do they want to know? What's their unanswered question? That's the tension that you're playing with when you write that scene.